Sarasota Herald-Tribune has taken down a pro-Proud Boys op-ed that they agreed to publish following backlash across the country over their decision to initially publish it. Now, the op-ed was penned by a wife of a Proud Boy member, which was not disclosed in the op-ed, problem number one. The op-ed was also a response to an anti-Proud Boy op-ed that was written by Lisa Gialdini-Schur titled, "Show Some Courage, School Board Candidates and Call Out the Proud Boys." Well, Melissa Radovich, who's married to a Proud Boy, didn't like that. So she pens this op-ed. Sarasota Herald-Tribune decides we're gonna publish it. So the op-ed by Melissa Radovich, published on Sunday by the Sarasota Herald-Tribune, defended local school board candidates' alleged association with the Proud Boys by claiming the group's members were simply caring parents who were being unfairly attacked for their conservative political views. In fact, her argument was attacking Proud Boys does a disservice to caring school parents. Okay, so here's why you don't play both sides and remain neutral as the opinion board of a paper, even if it's a small local paper like the Sarasota Herald-Tribune. Your job is to ensure that your readers know what the truth is. And so if you just allow someone to publish whatever they want, regardless of how many lies and deceptions are included in that op-ed, some of the readers might think that the Proud Boys are just caring parents that don't want to do anything wrong, when in reality, they're right-wing gang members, and many of them ended up getting arrested on January 6th because they tried to overturn the results of the 2020 election in favor of Donald Trump. So it's stupid, and I think they realized what their error was, which is why they ended up taking it down. But she also wrote, when I think about the Proud Boys, I think of fathers, business owners, and veterans. These fathers have spoken at many school board meetings. They are concerned about the direction that their local schools are heading in, and I commend them for coming to school board meetings. Now, of course, we've seen some of the videos featuring right-wingers at these school board meetings. They want to persecute teachers who have an open and safe environment for LGBTQ students. They want to silence those students. They want to persecute them themselves. Like, these are not caring individuals. These are individuals who want to go after anyone who has a lifestyle that doesn't conform to their own.
So when they first started the Proud Boys, there was debate as to whether they were going to be violent, whether they was a dangerous group or not, and a lot of people thought they were joining the group because they just wanted to be proud of being white males. Some of them weren't even white, okay, but it was certainly about Western civilization and their code words, right? When you told them, oh great, let's uphold the pillars of Western civilization, like equality, justice, science, advancement, etc. They're like, no, we don't want any of that.
No, we want a white ethnic.
Yeah, just white, and Christian, okay? So, but at that point it was debatable, right? And you could say, hey, they're for whites and they're for Christians, etc. But that's their right as Americans. We're way past that now. January 6th already happened. We already have witnesses who say, yeah, they were planned to enter the building and they planned to execute the vice president. Several countries, including Canada, have declared them a terrorist organization. And there's been tons of violent incidents already with the Proud Boys. If at this point you're joining the Proud Boys or you're proudly declaring that you're a Proud Boy, you're sending a very clear message. You're saying, no, I am for the violence. I am for what happened on January 6th. I am for strictly whites and Christians, etc. So there's no ambiguity at all left anymore. So she says, well, I mean, they're fathers and businessmen and veterans. I got news for you, so was the Klan.
Right.
They were business owners, they were veterans of the Civil War, they happened to fight for the Confederacy, and they were definitely fathers. And they had real concerns. They didn't want black people to be equal to white people. And they also wanted to do violence in order to prevent that from happening. So did they influence the local education boards back then too? Oh yeah, okay. I mean, they didn't have the same kind of board setups that we have today, but would they enforce that only the white Christian version of American history was taught in the South? Yeah, for a long long time. And they did not like that talk of equality, and that was not going to be taught. So, and back then, they didn't both sides it, they just were largely in the South. They were like, oh, the Klan is right? And so it's a little bit more complicated than that, but that was the essence of the Jim Crow era, right? So now, honestly, a lot of the media has been taught neutrality no matter what, okay? Oh, legitimate political opinion and the Klan, I can't tell. I'm neutral.
Let's just represent both sides and let the audience and our readers figure it out for themselves, even though it is literally your job to do that, right? So listen, I know what it's like to submit op-eds, right? When you submit an op-ed, typically what happens is someone reads over it to make sure that you're not lying in the op-ed, that you're not misinforming the readers in your op-ed. Seems like none of this happened. There was no disclosure about the fact that, of course Radovich loves the Proud Boys. She's married to one of them. But you should probably let the readers know that there's a conflict of interest here. In fact, don't publish it at all, I would say. But if you're gonna publish it, first of all, make sure that you balance it with accuracy. And you also let your readers know, oh, this is someone who has a massive conflict of interest as a wife of one of the Proud Boys. But look, we're giving this very specific example of a Proud Boy related misstep in the Sarasota Herald-Tribune. But let's take a look at a national paper like the Washington Post, because they do something similar all the time. Case in point, they published an op-ed titled, "Democrats Are Overreacting About the Supreme Court," written by Kurt Levy. Interesting, who's Kurt Levy? Now, the Washington Post didn't disclose the fact that he's with, the Federalist Society. Okay, so Kurt Levy is president of the Committee for Justice, an organization devoted to advancing constitutionally limited, blah, blah, blah. Constitutionally limited government. He's been fighting to strip women of their reproductive rights, to allow the government to tell women what they can and can't do with their bodies. He's also a veteran of Supreme Court and other judicial confirmation battles, and serves on the executive committee of the Federalist Society's Civil Rights Practice Group. Jake, what is the Federalist Society?
It is an extremely right-wing legal organization, and they have helped to handpick the extreme Supreme Court justices that you see here. There is no dispute that they are massively right-wing. Not identifying him as such makes it appear that it's a concerned Democrat who's telling other Democrats. Now remember, surrendering to Republicans is always the right strategy. So be good boys and little girls. But to be fair to the Washington Post, they might not have noticed, because that's what every Democratic leader says as well. So they might be like, oh, super right-winger and Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, they might literally not be able to tell the difference, because Pelosi could write that op-ed and it wouldn't, she probably wouldn't change a word. So that's the sick state of Washington right now. By the way, to Anna's point, we've both submitted op-eds to mainstream media outlets. When a progressive submits an op-ed, it is
fine-tooth comb.
I mean, they go over it with microscopic detail.
They tease it. They're like, all right, let's see. No. I mean, by the time that op-ed's done with their review process, it's like a big fuzzy mess.
Yeah, right? Like if you state things that are like your opinion in an op-ed, like, hey, Democratic leadership has been weak. They're like, no, not allowed. You have to show 12 pieces of evidence that they've been weak. Otherwise, it's a scandalous and outrageous thing to say. Right. What is this, an op-ed, right? And they literally won't let you say things that insult Democrats and et cetera, right? It's a right winger, oh, who cares? Let him pose as a Democrat, don't identify him. Oh, they're Proud Boys, don't fact check them. And that leads to the second problem, and why this was, the Sarasota one was published in the first place. Because honestly, they're scared to death of Republicans. They think that Republicans are the whole country. They got themselves to believe it. They think the country is really, really right wing. So they feel like, oh, these are real Americans. And the real Americans are racist, the Klan members, and we have to let them state their opinion, both sides, right? And so I'm surprised that they flinched after people said, hey, they might be a terrorist organization. They were looking to murder at least leadership, according to hearings, were looking to murder the vice president. They're like, oh, okay, I guess that's a tiny bit too far, we'll retract it. But don't think they won't do it again, they will. They're normalizing extreme right-wing fascists. That's what this is. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.